Hey, what is up guys, ShadyWags here. In this video we're going to be going over the different zones in Albion and what you can expect when you visit those zones. Also, we'll be talking about reputation. Now first, understand how the land of Albion is laid out. If we look south on the world map, we have the Royal Continent. This land is ruled over by the King of Albion, and all the zones on this continent are subject to the King's rules and regulations. To the north, there are 3 large islands, and this area is known as the Outlands. These lands are not governed by the King and not subject to his rules. On the Royal Continent, there are 3 types of zones. The first one are the blue zones. These zones are on the outer perimeter of the continent, and they are non-PvP. You cannot be attacked or attack other players in a blue zone. If you're in a battle with a creature or an NPC in a blue zone, you cannot be killed. You will only be knocked out. And if you're knocked out, you don't drop any equipped items, stackable items, gold or silver. What will happen if you do get knocked out is that your items will take a 10% quality loss, and 10% of the stackables that you're carrying on you will be lost. A stack of silver will then be placed on the ground, but that is not silver from your inventory. It is representative of the 10% loss that you took. When you're knocked out in a blue zone, you are then given 2 options. One is to wait to get up, and once you get up, you're going to receive a temporary speed and invulnerability buff. That gives you time to grab the silver from the ground and either run away or call for your mount and then retreat. If you call the mount is also going to receive the benefits of those buffs. Your next option is to concede and die. If you pick this option, you'll then be given the choice to respawn at either the nearest city or zone line in that zone. If you decide to concede and die, all your equipment and stackables will be dropped to the ground and are lootable by others. Your lootable corpse will be displayed as a skeleton. Your equipment will still take a 10% quality loss, and you will still lose 10% of the stackable items, and there is also the possibility of the items being broken beyond repair. Blue zones contain tier 1 through 4 creatures, NPCs, and resources, and they give the opportunity for new players to play and learn and become accustomed to the game mechanics without any fear of PvP combat. It's also worth noting you can travel from Saddle Tor clockwise across the continent to Vixen Tor by way of connecting blue zones, but in order to make it back to Saddle Tor, you do have to go through 2 yellow zones. Now, when you start in Albion, you're going to begin with a negative 250 neutral reputation. Upon receiving 250 reputation points, you're then awarded with the title of reputable, and a star icon will be displayed next to your character's name. As you defeat more creatures, NPCs, gather materials, and craft, you're going to continue accumulating positive reputation points, acquiring further levels of positive reputation. Yellow zones are restricted PvP zones, meaning that PvP is possible in these zones, but there are reputation consequences. You can flag yourself for PvP in a yellow zone by clicking on this button up here in the top left-hand corner. Once you are flagged for PvP, you can attack any player in the zone, whether they are flagged for PvP or not. And if you defeat another player, they will be knocked out. Players knocked out in yellow zones by other players or by creatures or by NPCs will not drop any loot or stackable items. Being knocked out in the yellow zone follows the exact same rules as being knocked out in the blue zones. If you knock out a player while you're flagged for PvP, you're going to receive negative reputation points. Players who are not flagged for PvP and are attacked by players who are flagged are free to retaliate without any reputation loss. So if someone does attack you, you can fight them back and you can knock them out, and you're not going to receive any hits to your positive reputation. Furthermore, players who are not flagged and attacked also receive attack and defense bonuses against that other player. Yellow zones contain tier 1 through 5 creatures, NPCs, and resources, and are in the game to introduce players to Albion PvP without much fear of loss. These zones are generally considered as casual PvP zones. Red zones are also restricted PvP zones. You must flag yourself for PvP, and you are subject to reputation loss. The difference between red and yellow is that red is full loot, so players can be executed dropping all equipment and stackables including their mount. Yes, all your equipment, including your mount, will be dropped to the ground. The only thing that will not drop is your silver and gold. A good rule of thumb before entering into any red zone is to treat all your equipment and items as consumables, because they can be lost. Any cluster of more than 10 players together in a red zone will show up on the minimap as red dots. Red zones contain tier 1 through 7 creatures, NPCs, and resources, and these are generally considered as small group PvP zones for the fact that larger groups do show up on the minimap, revealing their location and putting them at a disadvantage. As you knock out or execute players while you're flagged for PvP in both the red and yellow zones, you will continue to receive negative reputation points. Once you hit negative 1,250, you will receive the title Infamous, and an icon with a skull and crossbones will be displayed beside your name. You will also lose access to all blue zones on the King's Continent. At negative 2,500, you will receive the title Villainous, but you'll no longer be able to enter blue or yellow zones. And at negative 10,000, you'll receive the title Nefarious, losing all access to travel through the King's Continent and only allowing you to travel through black zones. The amount of players flagged for PvP in the zone will be displayed in the bottom right-hand corner. And if you encounter players while exploring these zones, the reputation system does give you a way to quickly diagnose the situation. If you're in a PvP zone and you see another player with a positive reputation, then chances are you would not need to be fearful of that player flagging up and attacking you. If you see a player with no reputation, then you would probably want to be on high alert. And of course, if you see someone with crossbones, well, you better be ready to run or fight. In both the red and yellow zones, there are areas which are designated as unrestricted PvP. Unrestricted means you don't have to hit the button to flag. As soon as you enter into that area, you are free to attack, knock down, and kill other players on sight without fearing any reputation loss. In the Northern Outlands, all the zones in that area are unrestricted PvP, and you're free to attack, knock down, and kill other players. Black zones contain tier 1 through 8 creatures, NPCs, and resources, and these are generally considered as large guild versus guild PvP zones. So I hope you found this information useful. If you did, I really would appreciate if you hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, later.